Hello Voodoo family. Today we transform our 3D project with all the accessories, all bodies and the backgrounds as we created in some NFTs. Let's move in Blender and let's start. Okay, as we know, last time, we were working on the concept of rendering. This is very important because now we have to set up the interface of Blender to be able to render our own NFT. Then first of all, we go back and check if everything is okay. Last time we said that, for example, I used to export in cycles to have a better result in terms of quality in the image. Then this, as I said last time, has to be on cycles, GPU, and here we can put some sampling. Now for the today example, I will reduce the sampling just to be faster in the rendering part. Then I will put 16. Okay, then this is the viewport. Then I will put in rendering 16, and the noise might be on. Then this grain problem that is usually visible on cycles will be cleaned, and everything will look better. Okay, as you can see here, since last time I started changing some names. Okay, for example, this script ignore, it was called light set, is where we put all the light. Now, why I did this? Okay, because to transform our own project in NFT, there is many different methods. The method I used, for example, in the White Magic collection was to export any single layer, then like the background alone, body alone, any single trait alone, with the shades and alpha channel. That means that every single picture was, every single trait was on an image transparent. And then after I use a script that I modified for my own necessities, and I started putting together the layers in a different, mixing them as usually happen in NFT. But this time I show you something very interesting, which was created by some guys, very intelligent and very smart, which they actually are not 3D artists, but they made a script for 3D artists. And this script, you can find it on their own on GitHub, for example. These people have run a studio that is called This Cozy Studio. It's also an NFT collection. And what they did here, they write a script. And not only they wrote a script to make things happen, but not only, they also write a script to make this script running inside Blender with an add-on, which is a little plugin that you can install in your Blender software, and makes you able to export exactly like if they were like layers, image layers, but from the 3D project. Let's see how it works. Okay, if you go on the GitHub of this project, which is called Blend My NFTs, down you have all the information. There is a lot of things to read, of course, if you want to use it. But the most important thing I want to show you today, to be practical, is how to set it up. Then first of all, you have to install this add-on. And how to do it, you go in the GitHub page and then you download the zip file, this zip file, which is it's a plugin, okay, an add-on for Blender. Okay, you will find this in your download folder, of course. Then you go back. Now I have it installed. As you can see, the add-on, most of the time they appear on this panel. Okay, and this is actually the add-on which I'm speaking about, that I will explain in 2 minutes. Now, how to enable this Blend My NFTs add-on in Blender? You go in Edit, as always. As you want to add in the preference a new add-on, which is a plugin, you always have to upload the zipped file. Then exactly like my zip file is now in the download folder, then you go in Preference and then Add-on. Then you might go on Install, and at this point you go in downloads, click on this and do install add-on. I won't do it because I have it already. While you install, you will see here something called blend my NFTs, which is this one, and this is the add-on will run all the script. This is very interesting because it makes the problem of putting together NFTs and not only the creation of the metadata for different blockchain. For example, you can do it with this add-on for Cardano as well for Solana and Ethereum, for example. Then all this process, it was very complicated, and now since 1 month more or less they did it very easy to use. Let's see how it works. Then okay, first of all, in the page, okay, in the web page of Blend My NFTs, they explain how to name, which is very important, the groups of traits and each own traits, and then I will show you what I've done. I add actually one background just to make things more nice, and then okay, we have our backgrounds, and you see I divided. We have now a pink as well. Now I will show you what I've done. Then how to rename all this thing. Okay, we have 3 traits, okay, background, body and accessories, and inside the background, for example, I put 2 others. Then we have, as we know, sorry for this, okay, we have the brick wall, the brick room, as we did a blue cave, I called it, and then we have a pink cave. Okay, now how I name it. Then the name of the trait is background, and the name of any single of them I rename it with, you know, with names that I like. And then you have to put, for example, the number of the trait. In this case we have 3, then there is like 1, 2, 3, okay, like in sequence, and this number 33, 33, 34 represent how many of 100. Then it somehow represent the rarity that will be exported at the end. And then, you know, this number has, you know, the addition of this number has to be always 100, you know. Then in this case it's 33, 33, 66 and 34, 100. And this is the name that actually will appear in the metadata. Then it's very important to put like the underscore at the end of the name, which the number of the sequence of the trait, and then underscore, which the number that represent the rarity. Then this is then background. On body, of course, we have 2, and then I put 50 and 50. On accessories, I have 5, then I divided 100 per 20, okay, where there is also our chicken and the mug. While you do this, everything is almost set up, apart something that is present in all the pictures. Then every single picture, you know, every single picture have something that is everywhere. Like for example, the lights. I did one light set that is the same for all the NFTs in this case. Then also the camera that I use, for example, is inside here because it's everywhere. I need always a camera to export them. Then somehow, if something is everywhere in NFTs, you create or you rename the folder, let's say the collection, with this name script underscore ignore, which is, that means that it will be ignored by the script and then it will be placed everywhere. Okay, let's see how it works. This works on a concept that before was this script. I want to show you because it's kind of, you know, I actually try it and it works very well, but somehow it's a bit complicated for someone who doesn't know script how to make it work. By the way, here you have to put the NFT name, and then you have to export, you know, 3 different times and run it 3 times different. What they did, these guys, which is very, very interesting, is to put all this thing in another script, which is running here exactly in the add-on that we install. And look how it works. Okay, here we have actually 3 different steps to follow. One is the creation of the NFT data. Then it will take all the Blender file with this characteristic, which is actually the mesh itself with the material, etc., and its own names and the rarity that they have. Then, for example, all this information we placed here, and inside can be whatever you want. You see somehow here I have more stuff than here, and you know, it's important that it's all inside a collection. Okay, then it's gonna take all these things, it's gonna create some Blender metadata which will associate for any single trait a number and then create the first DNA. And then later what you do, okay, then here we can split, you also can split the batch. Why is interesting this? For example, if you have a very big collection, and probably like, for example, is my black magic now is starting to be very complicated for everything I put inside, then somehow, you know, it's very easy that at some point, you know, when you start creating things, it might crash or might happen something. And then to be able to avoid problem or to start again everything, and you know, like you can split your entire batch in many different batches. Then somehow if you have, like, for example, 1000 picture, you can make like 10 batch of 100 or however you want. Now we will try these things like with 10 images and 5 image per batch. That means that we will do 2 batch. Then we can enable rarity or not. Then these numbers will be calculated approximately to have, you know, the same, you know, proportion as the number I placed. Then there is and that's it, let's say. Okay, here you can give a name. Then you give the name of your NFT. You give a path where to save it. Now I will save it exactly here, but I want to remove this because I did the test before and now I want to remove it. Then yeah, then you will create an NFT folder where everything that this script will create will be placed inside here, and then you will see in 3 different steps. And then at this point, this part is finished. What we can do now is to run the script, but there is a way to check if everything is okay. Now I noticed that in this example I've done with you, you know, I have some problem on the texture. Then we will have a little error when running the script, which won't create any big problem to explain you how it works now. Then in this situation now, what we have to do is to open this system console, which is you know, a window that is showing you step by step what Blender is doing by running the script, you know, time by time. Then this is important to understand if there is errors. Sometimes, you know, if you mess around with this number or with the file name, if you forget 1 underscore or blah blah blah, okay, the script doesn't work anymore, and then probably you will find the solution of your problems there. Then somehow here we start creating the data. Okay, then while I press creating the data, we check the toggle window again, which disappear. Okay, and here you see that rarity is on, weight listed, blah blah blah. The DNA was successfully created. Now the DNA was created for all the 10 NFT. Then if they were 1000 with 1000, 10,000, etc. Okay, then this kind of DNA for any single picture is created. Now they have to be generated, the images. Then let's go on the next step. Here, you know, like you can decide what kind of file you can create. You can create image, you can create animations, you can create also the 3D model. Then somehow let's start easy and then, you know, create an image, and here you see how it's gonna be the output of the image in terms of file name and file extension. In this case, I prefer always to export PNG, because the difference between PNG and JPEG, as I said already, is the compression. Then PNG is usually heavier, but because it's not compressed, and definitely the the quality of the image it looks better. And then we check again if everything is okay in this part. If you do animation, it's very important to check here. The frame rate is very important if you want to work at 25 or 30 or even more. And these. Okay, like for example, last time we were working on 4-second animations when we were making the mug spinning and the hands waving. Then 4 seconds is 100 frames. Then it's important to set them up here under in the timeline, and also to check if here you have the same frame range. Usually when you export in video, you don't need to change anything in the file output in Blender, because it will take this as reference. Then for example, if I want to export animation, usually, and I suggest to export an MP4. Then now we are going to export the images. Now, because we do 2 batch of 5 pictures each, I want to say that we start from the batch number 1. Then I will put batch number 1, I press OK, and then I press generate NFT. In this case, in this moment, you see now this script is telling you that it's generating the first NFT, and it has the accessory chicken and background bricks and body skin too, blah blah blah. Then and it's telling you time to time what it's doing. If there is some error, you see this multi-device is an error that probably is connected with some material that I didn't fix because it's not our priority now. And then okay, we wait for this to finish. In the same time, we can go to check what happened in our NFT folder. And the NFT folder now have this new folder which is auto-generated. It's called blend my NFTs output, and inside this there is some batch and some NFT data, which has some batch data and NFT record. If I go here and I see batch 1, for example, we'll open this script with this software called Visual Studio Code, where you see that any single trait here is named, and then here is created the first 5 DNA for any single NFT. Then let's go back, and he created the 2 batch, which we run only 1 at the moment. This is complete. It's saying that all the rendering in batch 1 is completed. Then now I will go to render the batch 2. Then if I have 50, I will render all of them, and then later we will do something else. Then I will render the batch 2 now and generate NFT. Now, another thing that happened in that folder is that while I'm generating these NFTs, they are placed now in this 2 batch folder. In batch folder 1, you can see this Blender metadata that will be used later in the next step to generate the final Cardano or Solana or Ethereum metadata. And you find the image folder where you start seeing like all the image that it was generated by mixing the traits. Okay, now let's go to see again. Now that we complete also the second one, then all our batch are completed and all our images are generated in PNG in this folder with those characteristics. Now we have to create our metadata file, which are very important. Why? Because in case someone who want to work with rarity is defining the rarity of your project, because you know why they are important. Because with the metadata, actually our developer will proceed to the minting process and will tokenize our images and transform them in real NFT by putting them on the blockchain. And the blockchain needs this metadata to validate all these NFTs. Then somehow, how to do here, we decide what is our blockchain where we want to be, and definitely for us is Cardano. And then now we press this button, which is very important to be sure that everything was done well, because you can't do it again, and this action, as I said, cannot be undone. Then I press this button, I press this. I hope that everything is okay, but unfortunately something happened and I don't know why, but let's check if everything worked. Sometimes give this problem. I don't know why. Let me check. And now we check if everything works fine. I have to go in our NFT folder. We go inside here, and here now you have a new folder which is called complete collection, which has everything we need inside. Then these two batch folder where they were created before, they are now reorganized in the complete collection folder, where mainly you have these two folder important, one with your NFT images, and then like you can see one by one with all the trait mixed, and the other one very interesting is the Cardano metadata, because in here if I double click on one of them, now you can see the all metadata comes of the picture number one. Then if I go to take the picture number one, I will see that this image, sorry, let me take the script of, okay. And then you can see that the name of the NFT is this is the number of the NFT, is the number one. Then you have all the traits, like chicken, the bricks, dragon bricks, the skin too for the alien. And then of course you can even add different information, for example the media type or a description if you want, and the policy ID of your project while you have, and then be ready to mint. That's practically all. That's the very interesting thing of this, is not how easy might be or hard might be to put things together, is to use this tool in a way that probably is different by others. That's why, for example, exporting my new NFTs, I will probably modify some of this path because I have more complication by putting together elements, especially if I have physics, animation, and other stuff. But this is a very good starting point. You can go on their own website, for example, or GitHub, and there is a very good documentation about this add-on for Blender.